Okay, the sound I'm going for in a song like this, amp-wise, is a Marshall Plexi. I'm not using a Plexi at the moment. I'm using a pod simulation of a Plexi, which is pretty close. Plexi refers to the amps in the late 60s that Hendrix would use, Clapton, Jeff Beck, and Jimmy Page, and people like Eric Johnson still use them. The reason why sometimes they're hard to deal with is that they're so loud, but they give you that really great, thick, full sound. The approach to this song I'm going to take is basically it's a 1-4-5, it's a blues. I'm going to try to avoid the dominant 7 sounds, because to me that gives it a bit more of a bluesy sound. We're trying to keep it a bit more of a rock, I would almost say country rock kind of feel. To me, like I call it roots rock. So I'm going to avoid the dominant 7th sounds. I'm going to think kind of power chords and triads. I'm going to approach the first chord is with an E minor pentatonic scale, with the blues notes, an E minor blues scale. Now, I think what I'm going to do with this and makes it sound kind of cool is I'm going to take the A note on the 2nd fret of the G string. I'm going to bend that up a whole step to the B, and I'm going to play my B and my E string open. And I'm going to play these with an upstroke. So you get that kind of cool unison sound. I'm going to slowly bring down and up the bent note to get this really great dissonant sound, which is actually my blue note, the B flat. Now to kind of resolve that dissonant sound, I'm going to go straight back to a minor blues scale again. So I've got that. I think the upstroke sounds really great on that. It's got a different sort of sound than a downstroke does. Next section, I'm going to put my thumb, my first 2 fingers, I'm holding the pick normally. My middle finger will play the E on the 4th string. And I want to grab this G with my pinky as opposed to an open G. I'm going to go to the G on the 5th fret of the 4th string. The reason why I like doing that is I want to be able to bend that note and sometimes I'll play it in unison with my thumb, the pick playing the low string, and my 2nd finger playing the 4th string. I kind of add a little bit of mute on the low string, because if I do it open, it gets really kind of cloudy, the notes, you don't hear the definition, so I'm not muting the 4th string, I'm muting the low string. Okay, so now I'm going to go to my 4 chord, which is A. I'm just going to think about an A major chord. I'm going to outline the sound of that chord individually, and I'm thinking of a different kind of scale at that point. I'm thinking of a Mixolydian scale. But it's easier than that. I'm just thinking an A major shape. So here, I'm going to put my pick between my 1st finger and my 2nd finger to kind of tuck it in like this. And when I do that, it makes it really easy to go back to regular picking position. And this way, when I do that, I can use my fingers. So I'm going for sort of a pedal steel sound here. What I mean by that is, if you listen to country music, you hear those great pedal steel players where they can get all these notes ringing out on top of each other. So for me, I'm going to take this note right here, which is an F sharp. It's on the 7th fret of the 2nd string, and bend it up a half step to a G and let it ring out on top of the A. It's going to come back down to a pull-off, and then resolve there to the 7th fret of the 3rd string. And take the same idea here now with my 2nd finger and bend that up a half step. So now I'm going to bend up once again. I'm not bending the 2nd and the 1st string. I'm going to flatten out my 1st finger to get the A chord on top of that. And now I'm going to use my thumb on the 5th string, which is A string as a pedal tone, to go between the 7th fret on the 4th string and the 5th fret, which is similar to what I did in the beginning there. Now I'm going to go back to the 1 chord again and go down to sort of another E minor open pentatonic lick. Now to add more excitement and bring it to another level, I'm going to go up to the 12th fret. I'm going to grab my pick again. My pick gets the low string that my thumb is playing, just this low E, and I'm going to pedal between the 4th string on the 14th fret, which is also an E. And I'm going to think E minor pentatonic up here again. I'm going to flatten out my third finger on the second and the third string here. When I go to the third string, I add in my ring finger to get that double stop on top. Now I've got my 5 chord. I'm going to do almost the same exact lick on the 7th fret for my B chord. And then I'm doing a very similar thing down on the A on the 5th fret. And then bringing it back down to E again. When I go down to E, I'm going to use my high E string as a pedal tone and play the 7th fret on the 2nd string, which is an F sharp. I'm going to slide it up to the 9th fret, back down to the 7th, and back down to the 5th. So I'm going to kind of play between those 3 notes. I'm going to slide back down to an open E minor blues lick again. And finish it off that way. One more lick I want to point out is when I'm going from my 4 chord, which is the A, back to my 1 chord, which is the E. So after I do that kind of... Excuse me. I went to this cool lick, which is a nice hammer-on pull-off lick. I'm going to... Once again. Now what's going on there is I'm hammering on from the 2nd fret of the 4th string to the 4th fret on the same string, and letting my open G ring out, so it's sticking with the idea of letting notes ring out on top of each other. Pull off there. I'm going to do the same exact fingering, but I'm going to move it up towards the ceiling to the 4th string and the 5th string.